Hello and a warm welcome to the programme. A United States government official has told the BBC that Israel launched an airstrike on the Syrian port city of Latakia. The official said that the intended target was Russian-made missiles. The airstrike is believed to have taken place late on Wednesday. Well, Israeli officials have refused to comment on the allegations, but we can speak now live to the BBC's Jim Muir on the line from Beirut. And Jim, it's been very difficult to get any kind of confirmation of this story.
Yes, I mean, reports have been circulating in the region all day long saying there have been some mysterious explosions at Latakia. People were talking about some kind of naval attack or attack from the sea. And now it seems, according to American officials, basically confirming what had been appearing on some of the Arabic TV channels, that the Israelis have carried out what would be a fourth, if confirmed, airstrike into Syria, hitting, according to local reports, an air base to the north of Latakia, where there were explosions recorded or reported, and the presumed target being a consignment of Russian-made surface-to-air missiles, which the Israelis presumably assumed were destined for Hezbollah in Lebanon, that being the reason they say they intervened at least 3 times before this year to carry out similar raids inside Syria.
And of course, if those weapons were to reach Hezbollah, then Israel would be very, very concerned about that indeed.
Well, I think they've made it clear in conversations with many people, including the Russians themselves, that they would regard as an absolute red line the passing to Hezbollah of sophisticated air defense systems which could be used to shoot down Israeli aircraft. So, yes, if that were indeed the reason, that would be why they intervened on this occasion, as they have before, most spectacularly in May, when they carried out a very major series of raids around the capital Damascus, shaking the whole city and lighting up the night sky, something that nobody in the Syrian capital could possibly ignore.
OK, Jim Muir with the latest on that from Beirut. As always, thank you very much.
We're following breaking news involving a possible Israeli strike against Syria. Israeli warplanes are reportedly suspected of firing on a shipment of Russian missiles near the Syrian coastal town of Latakia. This apparently part of an effort to keep advanced weapons from falling into the wrong hands. Israeli officials are not commenting. It comes on the heels of a deadline in which Syria declared it has destroyed its stockpiles of chemical weapons and production facilities. For more on the significance of this, I'm joined now by the Atlantic's Steve Clemens. Steve, what can you tell us?
Well, I just happened to come from a meeting with a senior administration official who happened to state that this was an Israeli attack, and then added the other interesting piece of this, which we hadn't heard before, that part of these systems were Russian in origin. So that's a complicating factor. Of course, we have very critical weapons inspections and chemical weapons destruction efforts underway, key meetings tomorrow. So the timing is odd. The attack is consistent with how Israel has tracked weapon systems before that it thought would reach Hezbollah. And so speculating, it looks as if Israel was worried that the shipment of these systems was imminent and took action.
Why now? Particularly on a day when we've had encouraging news about the dismantling of Syria's chemical weapons.
Well, it does show that Israel continues to be ferociously focused on its core interests in a way that do not necessarily play nicely with other coordinated efforts with allies. And that's probably a good way of saying they're not worried, they're not thinking about the chemical weapons issues. That's not what the immediate concern is to them. What is of immediately concerning are the quality and quantity of weapon systems that fall into the hands of Hezbollah during a messy conflict that could then be aimed at Israeli cities.
Of course. Steve Clemens of The Atlantic, thanks so much, Steve.
Thank you.